Hey there, it's Pete Thorn. Welcome to my studio, and welcome to the second video in my top UAD-2 guitar tones series, where I craft guitar sounds entirely from UAD-2 plugins. So I should mention I'm using a brand new UA Apollo Quad interface over here in this video, and it just sounds awesome. It's really easy to use. Just started using it this week, and no hiccups. It's just been fantastic. So can't say enough good stuff about the UA Apollo interfaces. They're just great. Okay, so moving on to the tone, or should I say tones, in this video. I called this the pop rock rig, and what I was going for was kind of a modern guitar rig. I find a lot of guys in bands these days are using like smaller combo amps with some pedals and stuff like that, setting the amps kind of on the edge of breakup or even clean, you know, not using so much distortion and whatnot. And so that was kind of the aesthetic that I approached these tones with. And I used the same plugins on 3 different guitar tracks, and just tweaked the settings on the plugins a little bit to achieve the different guitar tones. But it's the same plugins on each track, and I saved the settings for each track as a preset in UA console, so I can easily recall them and break down the tones for you now. Okay, so that's the guitar tone and part that start off the song, so let's begin with that. I'm going to break it down to the amp modeling plugin, because that's the most important thing that shapes the core tone. So I used the Chandler GAV19T amp modeling plugin. This is a really new plugin from the folks at UA and Chandler. They went and modeled an actual physical amp that Chandler makes. It's a dual EL84 kind of small format head. Design somewhat harkens back to Vox and Marshall amps from the 60s that are similar, but it's got a whole bunch of new updated really cool features that are also included in the plugin. So just a really cool sounding amp, and sounds great clean, edge of breakup, or all the way dirty. I've got it kind of set up sort of on the edge of breakup right now for this sound. Here's the sound of it with no other plugins on. So the speaker simulation I'm using is labeled Bulldog 12 SM57. You can see the settings there on your screen, and I believe what it's doing is modeling a Bulldog type speaker, probably like a Celestion Alnico of some sort, mic'd with a 57 and a 112 cabinet, and it really sounds like that to me. It's got that snarly kind of slightly boxy thing, and still edgy on the top end. It sounds really cool. Okay, next up we've got the EP34 tape delay. This is adding a ton of really cool vibe and dimension to this sound. So I'm actually running the EP34 first in line on channel 1 in UA console, so it's coming in front of the amp. And when you run delay in front of a guitar amp, it tends to sound sort of a little bit more accentuated and dramatic than if you run it after the amp, which can be a little cleaner and a little more controlled. So here's the tone without the tape delay. Okay, and turning on the EP34, I've got it dialed up for about 526 milliseconds. Just a really gorgeous sounding tape delay simulation. You know, there's a bit of distortion on the repeats, bit of wow and flutter and modulation, and like I said, just adding a ton of vibe to the track. Okay, next up we've got the Pultec EQP1A plugin. Pultecs are famous for just making everything sound better when you run it through them, even if you're not even using the EQ. So they've really even modeled that accurately in this plugin. It just sounds great inserted on the channel. But I'm actually using the EQ to boost about 4 dB at 4K to add some clarity to this sound, and also just a little bit at 100 Hertz, about a dB, to just add a bit of fullness. So here's the tone with no Pultec EQ first. And then switching in the Pultec. I've got a couple plugins inserted in the Channel 1 aux sends on UA console as well to complete this guitar sound. So first up is the Boss CE1 Chorus Ensemble. I'm using it to add this really beautiful vibrato to the tone and also give me a bit of stereo effect. So here's the sound first without the CE one. Okay, and switching in aux send 1, and you'll hear the CE one right away. Okay, last but not least, on aux send 2, I've got the incredible Ocean Way Studios plugin. This is way too deep for me to get into here, but essentially this plugin will allow you to access the incredible room sounds of Ocean Way Studios and add them to your own productions. So first up, I'll play the part without the Ocean Way plugin. Okay, and now on aux send 2, I'm switching in the Ocean Way Studios plugin. You'll hear the sound of Ocean Way Studio A on my guitar part. Okay, so for this eighth note guitar part, I was just trying to build some tension, add some dynamics to the song, and create a bed for the other guitars. So I double tracked it and panned it hard left and right in the mix. And basically, I'm using the same plugins, but I disabled the CE1 plugin, the chorus ensemble, and the EP34, so no vibrato or delay on this sound. So basically what you're hearing is the Chandler amp with the Pultec for a bit of EQ and the Ocean Way Studios for a bit of room. I should mention, though, on the Chandler amp, I engaged the treble booster. The Chandler has a bunch of boost options built in that are kind of like having multiple pedals built into the amp that you can kick the front end with. So it's really cool to experiment with these. So yeah, I used the treble booster, which is really nice. Just adds a bit of gnarly top end, bit of grind to the sound. Here's the sound without the treble booster. Okay, and turning it on. Just grinds up the top end a bit and makes the part a little bit more aggressive. Okay, so for this aggressive sort of melody part, when it came in, I really wanted it to kind of take over. So what I did was I turned on the EP34 tape delay again, switched the time to about 360 milliseconds, which is giving me like an eighth note delay approximately. And I cranked it up pretty good, so it's nice and aggressive to kind of fill out and fatten out the tone. And then on the Chandler amp, I cranked up the amp to about halfway, turned up the bias control, so it's driving a little harder. And as far as the boost goes, I chose the thick boost. There's 5 different boost options, and the thick boost just sounded great to me for a single note thing to make it real fat and aggressive. And then as far as the speaker simulation and mic simulation goes, I switched that up to the Bull 12 Dynamic 57B option, so it just changed the tone a little bit. And it sounds really great to me. I love it. If I switch off the Echoplex, I'll give you a good example of what this Chandler amp sim sounds like without any delay or anything with this boost. You know, it's just a little bit more aggressive with this tone. Alrighty then, thanks for watching the second video in my top UAD-2 guitar tones series. You can check out these plugins further, of course, at the Universal Audio website, and I'll see you again real soon for some more guitar tones. I am Pete Thorn. Take care.